Without any further delay, I want to call up on stage Commissioner Margrethe Vestager, and I've been trying to pronounce the how do I do it properly, and Carrie Budoff Brown, who is the managing editor of Politico, who will be interviewing her. Thank you for being here.
I'm right here. Maybe the first question should be, pronounce your name for us, because everyone should know how to pronounce your name at this point, because you are perhaps one of the most covered people right now in Europe.
Well, not by name recognition, I can tell you that, because it seems as if my parents they were not aware of globalization.
Yes.
So they chose this name, which is Vestager.
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 As long as it can be recognized in writing, you're doing great.
All right, good. So at Politico, we like to say we're on the news, and obviously, like I introduced you, I mean, there's nobody right now who is sort of getting more attention here. And the question I'm asking reporters when they're going out and covering, Google, Gazprom, the one question I always ask them is, who is next? So who is next?
Well, of course, that's for anyone to ask themselves that question, because. Basically, what should be on everyone's mind should be the fact that we are defending competition in Europe. And any business, no matter the flag, no matter the ownership, is warmly welcomed in the European markets if played by the rules. And therefore, of course, anyone who may have such a stinted black consciousness maybe should reconsider and get the books back in order.
Well, let me ask you on this. We have Google, we have probes open into Apple, Amazon, Starbucks, Honeywell, U.S. movie studios. The rap right now is that you're out to get American companies. Is there truth to that?
Well, of course, I was afraid that there could be a bias. So I asked my service to look into our also recent history of mergers, of antitrust work, the level of fines that has been given out of the previous commission. And actually, I think that the data supports me in saying that there is actually no bias. I think what is in question is, of course, that when we do antitrust, when we do merger control, well, we do it with companies which are important. Which has a very strong presence in the European market, and that's basically it. Because I have no grudge against any company. What we aim at is, of course, a certain conduct, a certain behavior that may be anti-competitive.
The fact that we do hear these names coming up, though, is there anything what does it say about American companies? You're saying you were concerned about this. What kind of, due diligence did you do, or what kind of questions did you ask your staff? I mean, how much was that a consideration as you decide who you go after?
Well, first of all, of course, we also rely on you, on the media, to bring forward things that may not be as they should be. Mm-hmm. We rely very much on other companies, because a lot of the work that we do actually build on their complaints. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to cartels, of course, we also have to rely on some of the crooks, because basically we have a button on our homepage or web where you can turn the others in.
Well, on Google, just explain to me quickly, why has that case not been able to be settled? Is there something about Google? Have they been just inflexible with you and your predecessor? Why has it gotten to this point?
Well, it's kind of difficult for me to answer, because it was my predecessor. He took the decision. It was his work. He engaged a lot in the negotiations, and unfortunately, he couldn't bring the case to an end. And therefore, it was sitting on my desk when I arrived to figure out how to move it on. With substantial complaints, with a lot of data, but still with the need to update the file in order to get the full picture, and that's what I've been doing.
In this week we ran a pretty substantial profile of you yesterday. I'm not sure if you read it or how many people here did, But in the very first paragraph, we say that you have transformed yourself, we say herself, from a relatively obscure Danish politician into one of the world's most consequential regulators. Is that a little much? And then
I don't like the word obscure.
Okay. Sorry. Yes. But tell me, what's the biggest way your life has changed? I guess in the last week, as you've sort of gone from that, more lower level or lower profile commissioner to, someone who, quite frankly, I can't turn on CNN at night without seeing you there. What's changed for you?
Well, I think basically that the change is that the work that we have been doing for quite some time is now in the public sphere, for you to write about, for your colleagues to write about, for people to talk about. But for us, who has been working these cases and other cases before that, basically on substance, the relationship with the case and the conduct has not changed. But of course, it's a new phase because now we have it out in the open in a completely different manner.
Well, and another thing we wrote, and I'd be curious to sort of get your thoughts on this. We talk about how you're sort of keenly attuned to public communication. You're very active on Twitter. You're, like I said, I can't turn on CNN these days without seeing you there. Why is that important to you, this sort of level of engagement that you've done in terms of, just talking about these things? I mean, what is driving you to be, someone who's more open to that public side of this role?
Well, one of the great things about Twitter is that I don't have to rely on you.
Sounds like President Barack Obama to me.
No, but actually it comes from the fact that I'm from a very poor party. So we were very much into everything that could enable us to talk with our voters in a direct manner without huge costs. And also for me personally, it was a challenge since I'm full of words. I talk a lot, very long sentences. So it was a welcome challenge to be short and more precise. And I think there is a great thing about social media and Twitter. Then, when you use it yourself, when you like it, as I did and do very much, then it's a way to be much more open than we can otherwise be, and sometimes to bring people with us backstage in situations in meeting rooms where they would otherwise not have a chance of knowing even the color of the walls.
On Gazprom,
though they are very often grey here in Brussels.
On Gazprom, the announcement this week, the timing of it, what kind of consideration did you give to it, given how tenuous the situation is in Ukraine? It's tenuous there right now. Some say that this action won't help that. Your predecessor gave that a lot of thought. Give me your thoughts on the concern about the timing now going after Gazprom.
Well, even though it may sound like a sort of a very banal thing to say, we're not going after Gazprom or the Russian state. We're going after a certain behavior, because what we see in the data as our preliminary view is that there has been an unfair pricing. And one of the treasures, the true jewel of the European Union is our internal market and the competition there. And therefore, of course, we could not use competition law enforcement politically, because then we would completely delegitimize all the things we've done before and the things we will do looking forward. And to me, this is a very important matter. Of course, foreign policy is a weighty thing. It's a huge topic for everyone to be concerned about. But competition, a growing economy, a fair marketplace is also a very, very important thing, because this is a job creator. And if we will ever pursue any of the dreams in Europe, well, then we have to create jobs.
There are some, though, who say by pursuing these actions, against Google, how do you respond to the criticism that, that kind of step is sort of exactly the kind of obstacle that stifles innovation Google is a big powerhouse in, America and obviously all over the world, and is sort of the beacon of, innovation in the United States. And then, if you don't know the subject, you look at the headlines and it's, you're going after Google. Europe has struggled to spur innovation. Explain that to me in terms of, is there this, does it stifle innovation in Europe?
Well, I think on the contrary, I think this is exactly for innovation. It's for consumer choice, it's for innovation. Because if we're right in saying that Google, because of its enormous success and dominance in general search in European markets, can favor its own shopping comparison services by systematically bringing it up, well, that's a very strong disincentive for any other business in the market to invest, to be innovative, to present its innovative products to consumers, because they may never see it. And therefore, of course, what we are pursuing is always consumer interest in terms of choice, affordable prices, innovative products, and I think exactly that's what we can achieve.
I'm going to do a couple quick questions, things that I'm curious about, short answers. What are you knitting right now?
Well, I have an unfinished elephant actually in my
You're still
bag
doing
right now,
elephants?
yes.
What search engine do you use?
Google.
Google. And does that prove your point?
I hope so.
Yeah. To understand your philosophy, what's something we should read about? We should read.
Coming to philosophy?
To understand where you're coming from.
Maybe the wonderful biography of Astrid Lindgren. It's very, very good. I can strongly recommend it.
Okay. When your work in this office is finished, you'll be a success if what?
If citizens of Europe have just a little stronger feeling that they live in a union which is built on the rule of law, of fairness.
And when you're finished, you would like to be known for what?
Exactly the same thing.
Okay. Talk about what's next for you. Do you plan to go back to national politics? We've heard different things about what you may want to do, whether you just want to go, and I think maybe someone said, or you said once, you just want to go back to a quiet life. A lot of people talk about you as a national player. What is next for you?
Well, I don't think it makes any sense to close any doors, and right now I like my job very much. Maybe I could ask for a second mandate.
A second mandate? Good. Right. The work that you've done obviously has been very high profile. Some people, some of your colleagues have made comments about your work. How sensitive are you to sort of the colleagues in the commission saying things that are not necessarily maybe critical of what you're doing? How do you respond to sort of the attacks on what you're doing?
Well, the commission is a college, so of course we work, each and every one of us, on behalf of the other, and we have separate portfolios, but we have basically the same mandate. And I think one of the amazing things as a newcomer in a college like this is, and you have to take my word for it, is basically a very sort of amicable atmosphere. It is a very, very good team that President Juncker has working for him.
And you were in Washington a week ago, right after you announced the action against Google. What was the reception there? Not just sort of the public one, but like, what were you hearing from Americans, immediately after that announcement back when you were there? How were you treated?
Americans, they are very nice and open. And it was a very positive experience, because what I received was a very balanced approach. You heard a lot of different things. People said, "Oh, why are you taking up this question?" And other people said, "Oh, this is a big company. If questions should be asked, definitely you should ask them." So from what reached me, I think it was very, very balanced.
Were people, privately sort of you get the same sense there. I don't, I just moved here from Washington, D.C. I don't get the same sort of sense that Google is sort of there's not the discussion about its power in the marketplace. Was anybody cheering it on privately or saying, go Commissioner, or anything of that sort? Or were there...
Well, I don't think I would recognize that kind of behavior because we never have it here in Europe.
Yeah. I think we're about to wrap up here. Is there anything that, I started this out by trying to probe you for who's next. I'm going to give you one last chance to go on that. I mean, are we going to see announcements from you at this stage? Now it's been 2 weeks. You've had 2 major announcements. Are we expecting something else next week, the week after? What's the pace of sort of the actions that you're going to roll out at a higher level?
Well, the challenge for me that the work is not done by the announcements. There is a lot of work ahead of us in both cases. And there will also be a lot of work in cases that you may not want to write so much about, but which is very important for the players in question, because they concern like small and medium-sized enterprises in the prices of the trucks they use, or the prices of their energy, or whatever that may be. And therefore, of course, it's a very high priority for me, for businesses and customers and citizens to know that we're here for enforcement, because the huge majority of businesses, they're just competing on the merits, and they should know that we're there to look after those who do not do the right thing. That may be small cartels, that may be the really, really big ones.
Okay. I think we're out of time. Thank you so much. It's been great to have you here.
It was a pleasure to be here, and congratulations on the launch.
Thank you. Thank you.